Hello, this is Ramona. Thank you for tuning in to the TurboPurr channel. This channel is inspired by happy cats and smooth running sewing and crafting machines. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Enjoy. Today I am showing you my version of the Kwik Sew pattern 4244. Made in a stretch knit fabric. Honestly, I have found that the most difficult part of sewing with stretch knits is really finding a very attractive fabric that appeals to you. That can be the most challenging part. Um, I purchased this fabric from Gail K Fabrics in Atlanta, Georgia, some years ago. Also, another source for nice stretch knit fabrics is Mood Fabrics in New York City. They have a nice variety and an online shop where you can mail order. In my version, I've made a few variations from the original pattern. I used fold over elastic around the neckline, and I serged the edges of the sleeve detail with a very heavy serger thread instead of hemming it as shown in the pattern. These are the supplies that I used, and I'll go in to show you some serger threads that I used a little bit later on. I would like to mention here that it's really important when you are sewing to just be really positive about the outcome and be patient and be kind with yourself. I've heard some people talk about how they weren't happy with how things turned out, but honestly, if you buy anything off the rack, it's almost never perfect, and sewing requires some trial and error. Anything that you do when you finish a garment, even if you think it's not perfect, other people generally do not see the imperfections. So be nice to yourself and enjoy what you make and enjoy wearing it. None of the things that I make are perfect, but I don't worry about that. I just like to get them done and then enjoy wearing them. And if it really doesn't turn out the way you want, it's just fabric and you can throw it out and try it again in a different fabric. I was very pleased with how this top came out. The picture on the left is of the front, and there is a little drawstring detail at the bottom, hem on that. I used the serger for most of the construction, and the hem on the bottom I also did on the serger with a cover hem stitch. This is a little bit more information about the pattern. One of the first things I do when I look at a pattern is I look for the stretch knit gauge that's on the back. I have highlighted the yellow arrow is pointing to that stretch knit gauge, and that's very important information to have. For one thing, it tells you that the pattern requires that you use a stretch knit, and you can check your knit to make sure that you're using something that does have sufficient stretch with it. You'll notice in looking at the pink pattern pieces that are illustrated for the views on this pattern that the little sleeve details are semicircular, which gives a really nice drape on the sleeves when you're using a stretch knit fabric. This is a close-up of the 3-thread serger edge stitching. I used a variegated pink and red red Madeira thread in the upper looper. The lower looper has a variegated green thread in the bottom in it. And when I cut the pattern, I had to be very careful when I was cutting those sleeve pattern pieces to cut them cleanly and evenly so that I could just follow along the edge with the serger with this wide 3-thread stitch to finish those edges and make them look really nice. I keep a box of decorative Madeira threads for sergers in my sewing room, and so these are some of the examples of different serger threads that you could use. Depending on your serger, you will need to look at your instructions regarding using heavy threads. Some of the threads that I use are 6 and 8 weight, which are quite heavy threads, and they require using a special threading technique for the serger. I made this top using my Babylock serger, and I used a thread cradle according to the instructions that were in my instruction book in order to get these heavy threads through the loopers. So depending on your serger, you will need to look at your instruction manual. This is the neckline detail of the fold over elastic. I used a 3-step zigzag stitch to attach this elastic around the top edge of the neckline instead of using a facing. I wanted to use this fold over elastic because it matched so well with the blue that is in the fabric, and it also made for a quick and easy finish. This is the drawstring detail along the front edge. And this is the inside of the garment. I used a 4-thread serger stitch for most of the construction. This top has gussets along the side that are kind of like a triangular shape underneath that arm, underneath the sides on the underarm area. And along the edge on the bottom, you can see where I have hemmed using a cover hem stitch on the serger. Thank you for watching. I wish you much happy stitching. Remember to enjoy yourself, and when you're sewing, it's very important to have a good time and enjoy the results of it and enjoy wearing your new garment. Have a wonderful day and happy stitching to you.